Welcome, Galactic HoloNet, to the Scum and Villainy Podcast. I am your host, Richard White, also known as Kelvin Tiberius. You are joined by Greg Duncan, also known as Joy and Vengeance, and we are finally joined by the one, the only, Mr. Froggies. Gentlemen, it's been a while. I feel like I owe an apology to the Galactic HoloNet due to my, shall we call them, technical difficulties. Is that what we'll call it? Technical difficulties?
I think that's what we have to call it in lieu of what happened to what we recorded for our last episode. On that note, though, I will say at least we did get a good interview out of the league operator and frequent tournament operator out of Bellevue/Omaha, Sean Dorsey. We got some good stuff out of him, and I plan on releasing it to the HoloNet.
So for anyone who wants to know exactly what happened and why they're laughing at me, well, let's just say that your old buddy, Kelvin Tiberius, decided that not recording the last 40 minutes of his audio would be a good idea, and I may have inadvertently done that. So instead of trying to figure out what I said several days ago in a conversation, we decided to re-record, and we're going to be releasing that interview that we had with Sean as an extra interview series, although we did have the thought process of interviewing people and releasing those as sort of smaller interviews as opposed to our normal hour show. Greg, you have any thoughts on that? I know you were thinking about that earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. If we're going to dive down that line of tangent, without a doubt, I like the idea of doing interview releases, something a little bit shorter, just a little bit of extra content, because I know sometimes it's a while between when we do these episodes. You know, we all have busy lives, so it's hard for us to get together consistently. But throwing some interviews out there is a pretty easy thing for us to do, and I think it's good for X-Wing community members in general to, one, know who the people are that are out there that are getting involved in the community that aren't just us and the people that seek us out, but maybe we can shine the spotlight on a couple of people and maybe help to bring some of the X-Wing players together.
So the hope is that my mistake may or may not actually have been a good thing? Maybe?
Yeah, well, when life gives you lemons.
Yeah.
When life gives you Richards.
Well, I'm just going to move past that. We're just going to forget that old blunder ever happened, and I'm going to move right on into new cards that we have on the scene. We have missed this. This has actually been spoiled for a small amount of time, but we have yet to talk about it. And I'm sure this is going to be a lot of fun to talk, for Scott to give Greg maybe a little poke or two on how good the Rebels are. I mean, gosh, all these awesome cards. That's a great thing. We have the Rebel Aces that came out. A-Wings and B-Wings getting better. Yeah, Scott, I know you're Mr. Rebel. How do you feel about this?
Well, I get to poke Greg a little bit. Yay, Rebels! Woohoo!
Dude, I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. There's some great new pilots that are coming out. Jake Farrell is awesome. Just the fact that there's an A-Wing that can do a barrel roll, which I just think that's going to be so much fun. He's going to be kind of like, I'll read his ability. So he's a 7 skill A-Wing, and then his ability is after you perform a focus action or are assigned a focus token, you may perform a free boost or barrel roll action. And it's that assigned a focus token part that I find to be really awesome.
That could be anybody on the Rebels.
Yeah, that's Garvin handing out a focus token, or, Kyle Katarn. And it's kind of like it lets him arc dodge at the beginning of combat before it really starts, so he knows where everybody's at. He gets an extra, boost or barrel roll to get out of somebody's line of sight, which I think it's very similar. Kind of reminds me of Tirfanir's ability, and only the rebel version of it.
The better. You said better wrong.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Right. The better version.
In all honesty, a lot of ways that is almost better, because it's the fact that it's the free action in tandem and it piggybacks with another action, getting that extra focus token. I mean, basically anybody with elite pilot talent and squad leader can trigger this action on Jake Farrell.
Has anybody considered the fact that you can theoretically have a Garvin giving an action to Jake, say via wouldn't be Garvin, it'd be Lando giving an action to Jake, in giving that boost or barrel roll before he even takes an action. You could boost before you even make your movement, a la advanced sensors.
And you can chain that with a push the limit as well, and go ahead and kind of do whatever you want before you even take your turn, if you so desire.
Yeah.
And then you could do a green.
Yeah.
Yep.
And there's a lot of green on an A-Wing, so yeah, you're pretty much
you can
set.
pick up that stress before you reveal, and then go ahead and clear it with your movement, and be set up to just cause all sorts of havoc.
Would you be able to then take actions again?
Technically, you should be able to take
Because
one action again, because you can't use an upgrade card more than once per round. So you couldn't push the limit twice. But you could be given a free action from Lando, then push the limit into another action,
and then green,
then reveal your maneuver dial, do a green, and take an action.
And the A-Wing.
So if you feel like taking
actions.
3 actions, you can just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have plenty of actions.
Boost, focus, target lock. All right.
Yeah, it's a pretty potent combination.
And
I mean,
evade.
obviously, it's a lot of stuff to choose from, and you don't see the barrel roll on there, but the barrel roll is really an action in there as well. So you have 5 action options with that pilot.
Yeah.
Here's my question, and we're going to ignore the gigantic white elephant in the room for a moment, and say that this is 24 points for a pilot that only has 2 attack dice. I mean, I understand the 7 pilot skill, but only 2 attack dice. Is that too high?
I think not, just because of it's not that he just has the 2 attack dice. Yes, it's 24 points for 2 attack dice, but at the same time, you are also dealing with 4 hit points. You're dealing again with a ship that has 5 available action options, and those have to cost something. He gets a free action out of turn, moves on a pilot skill 7. I don't know. I honestly think he comes in at a bargain.
And the dial. I mean, that's the other thing. His dial is... A-Wing dials are just so good.
It's the best style
It's the
in the
best
game.
style in the game.
And the other thing to think about with the 2 attack is there's a lot more ships now with 1 defense. B-Wings are very popular. A-Wings can shoot on them, and they're going to hit them. They're going to do damage.
Not to mention there are options. I mean, if you're dealing with the whole concept of him working in a squad that's going to be able to hand off actions to him, you're going to be dealing with high pilot skill individuals at that point. So there is an opportunist possibility.
Yeah.
Working in there. There's I don't know if the points work out, but there could be a Lando, a Wes Jansen, and Jake Farrell combo that could be rather annoying just off the top of my head. I don't know, like I said, how well that works together, if it does at all, but
it's close. I'm not sure if it is.
Get your really math down, Gregory.
What is Wes? It's 46 points for Lando, or 44. 44 points for Lando. Plus 24 for Farrell, so that's 48, 68, plus 28 for Jensen. So yeah, it works. There's some room in there.
Yep.
You're dealing with that's 96 points at that point, so you got 4 points to play with. That's opportunist on Jake Farrell. Go, whatever. Could be entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, Wes. That's the thing with Wes. You don't really need a lot on him.
He works just as is. I haven't played with him yet, but he is very high on my list of ships I need to try.
Yeah, he's a fun ship.
So our second spoiled ship is Kian Farlander. Quick tangent. Did anybody think the bees needed any help? Did they need?
Oh my God!
No.
I'm disappointed that this isn't an A wing only
or
upgrade,
a Y,
or maybe an A and a Y
yes.
wing.
Yeah,
God,
exactly.
I
honestly wish they had done it. I wish they had done it like they had done Imperial Aces and made it just A wing. Honestly, I think beefing up the B wing was completely unnecessary, even to the extent that I don't think they needed another named pilot. The two that they have are already good. They're hard to spend the points on, but they're still powerful.
Boy, would you say that the ability to, when attacking, remove one stress token and change all of your focus results to hit results would be a powerful ability?
Oh my God. It's like they made him to counter Karner Jax. I mean, I can't spend my focus? I'll spend my stress and shoot you.
Yeah.
Right in the face.
Exactly.
It's like,
There's never been
it's a counter to Karner Jax, and it's soon to your feld, but better.
There's never been an easier way to K-turn forever.
Yep, really. In all honesty,
well,
I can't imagine it. It comes at no cost, essentially.
I kind of wonder about him and Defenders. I wonder if they did that after playtesting Defenders, because the Defender has the white K turn, so maybe they wanted to. I mean, the Rebels have this guy who can K turn forever, Porkins who could probably K turn forever.
Hobby.
Hobby is the other. Him not quite as well, but they have some ships now that can kind of do that, and I wonder if that was to kind of balance the Defender gameplay wise.
I think you're onto something there as far as the Rebels receiving stress clearing mechanics and the Imperials not receiving that sort of same mechanic, is that you have the white K turn on the Defender, and I do think the Defender will be a popular
I don't
ship.
think so, actually. I think it's so expensive, and I want to make it work because it's my style of ship, but I don't know, man.
You know what, though? We see people fly expensive ships all the time.
And they're usually wrong, aren't they?
In the sense of, I agree, but that's our personal philosophy. We like to go with the quantity over quality, typically. So, and that's evidenced in the lists that we fly.
Yep.
So they spoiled some new cards with Rebel Aces, and we're going to go through them in terms of how awesome they are, and how much they infuriate, at least me. I'm going to start with the first one. Enhanced scopes. During activation phase, treat your pilot skill value as 0. It's a sensor upgrade, and it costs 1 point. Guys, what do you think?
Can we continue down the path of, did B-Wings really need to get any better? Honestly, like, oh, hey, here's a great ship. Let's, yeah. Well, I guess we do have a good blocker in the shuttles now. And the E-Wings are coming, but I think this will shine as far as the B-Wings versatility. I think there's already an argument to be made that they're one of the best dogfighters in the game. They're certainly one of the best heavy laser cannon carriers in the game, so they're great from the sniping distance. Now they're going to get a whole new blocking dynamic involved in their repertoire, and it
I think this might be a good thing to put on a shuttle, though. Think about it. PS0
yeah.
shuttle.
I think the shuttle gets the best use out of it as a blocker. I think I kind of like that the most. I really wish that card actually worked for Arvel.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in this thing, and it's like, if anyone needed to go on pilot skill 0, it's Arvel.
It is. It really is.
So, and it's like, it's so close, but it's a sensor, and the A-wings don't get sensors, so horrible. Just,
and of course, you're echoing.
Don't run into something.
You're echoing the biggest knock on the A-wing is the A-wing is actually supposed to be the ship, not the B-wing, that has the sensor jammers and the sensor suite and all of that. It's supposed to actually be on the A-wing. Well, historically, it was. If you played, X-wing versus TIE Fighter or any of those games.
Right.
Or just kept in touch with the extended
that
universe
too.
in general.
Shout out to anyone who played the Weston Games D6 RPG. First of all, I know you're at least 30 years old, and second of all, power to you.
Well, not at least 30, because I've played, and I'm technically not 30
Have you played the
yet.
D6 Star Wars RPG with me?
I have. Yes, I have.
Well, I mean, I'm very happy about that. Anyways, next card, which comes in at, I'm going to go ahead and say this, 0 points. Yes, 0 points. Once again, 0 points. A-Wing only. A-Wing Test Pilot. It's a title. Your upgrade bar gains 1 Elite Pilot Talent upgrade icon. You cannot equip 2 of the same upgrade cards, and you cannot equip this card if your pilot skill value is 1 or lower. So prototype pilots are out,
So no prototypes.
and that's it. Everybody else is just golden.
Yep.
Guys, what do we think?
Just the combos that the crazy combos that you can do with this is, like, I think of Tycho with push the limits and expert handling.
Yes.
He doesn't care about stress. He's just going to be all over the place. It's like, he'll be like Soontir.
Except
just,
with 2 attack dice.
He's going to be a dangerous
Although he's
person
tougher.
to put that on.
And he is tougher, and he has target lock.
Yep.
It's going to be a dangerous combination there with the expert handling. Basically, they are giving the A-Wing more responsiveness to the maneuverability of the TIE.
What are your
interceptors in
favorite
that
combos,
vein.
guys?
Well, this card also is totally power creep. So, I mean, I guess it's their attempt to sort of balance the A-Wing, but it is like,
we haven't even gotten to power creep yet.
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, we haven't touched the real power creep card yet.
Yeah.
But
What are your
I
favorite
like
combos?
the idea of using veteran veteran instincts in tandem with this card and taking those greens and upping their pilot skill.
Yeah.
Going in, buying in for it cheap, upping their pilot skill and making them a more competitive early shooter with maneuverability.
That shoots them at
Yeah.
5. That beats a lot of your 4s that you see.
It beats out the Saber for that point cost, not the Royal, but it does beat out a lot of the 4s that you see. It also makes them move later, so that extra maneuverability that can come in from the A-Wing itself is a little more useful at that.
I kind of wonder about putting, Wingman and push the limits on them on a bunch of greens. Because then they could all push the limits and then get rid of their...
Eat each other's stress.
Yep. And then they have their whole maneuver dial set for them.
That's wild. I like that. There's so many good combinations.
Yeah. I mean, you really... And as the game goes on, this is going to be one of those things that's going to continually get better and better. Because more elite pilot talents will offer new and wild and crazy combos.
Yeah, a Predator is an example. You can push the limit Predator with the A-Wing, which means that you will never ever in the history of ever roll 2 blanks. You're going to roll 2 hits just about every single time. And you can often get into range. You can often get into range 1. So you might be asking yourself, well, how am I going to pay for these new expensive elite pilot skills? I wonder how I'm going to do that. If only there were a card. If only there were a card that would give me free points. Why? If only
there is.
But wait, there is the Char Dan refit. A-Wing only. This card has a negative squad point cost of -2, and it takes up the missile slot. So this is really...
Oh no, we got rid of that useless slot that nobody uses.
Well,
on
they
the A-Wing.
do, but I mean, they wouldn't now.
But they won't after
They
the
won't
Z95
now.
hits. Yeah.
Guys,
Yeah, the Z95 hitting becomes the new missile carrier in there, and just Chardin refit. Scott, you mentioned power creep before,
Yeah.
and A-Wing test pilot doesn't even compare as far as power creep is concerned. Chardin refit, I
Giving
think it's the
2
most blatant
points.
rebel power creep you can have.
3
Yeah,
points.
it's-
Your prototype pilot was 17, now 15. Enjoy fire control system on your B-Wing.
Yeah,
Your push the limit
exactly.
green squadron is 20 points.
Yep.
Enjoy running
20
5
points
of
for
them.
your PTL. Yeah, Jake Farrell is hard to pay for at 24 points. Hey, how about you make him cheaper by 2 points? That should make it easier to fly these named pilots.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
it's like...
it's basically a fixed card. I think they feel like they overvalued some of the named pilots for the A-Wings, so they put this card out there to make them easier to stomach.
Yeah, it's not how I would have gone about fixing them. This negative 2 points is kind of a bad precedent.
I would have
opinion.
given them sensors.
So, yeah, giving them yes.
Taking
Open up
up the
another-
missile for sensors.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's even reasonable. Like,
And then suddenly
I
Arvel
don't
can
know.
move at a 0. Or he can get advanced sensors and take his actions before he moves.
yeah, I think that would have been a better.
And with
way to
A-Wing
make
test
the
pilot, he
named
can get
A-Wing
pushed the
pilots
limit.
more viable.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's a card
Yeah.
that I think about running. Right? Actually, I serious think about running him, but no
Yeah.
one would ever run Arvel ever. Right now, I mean,
Even with Chardin refit, they're not going to run Arvel Synod. What it instead has done is open the floodgate for. So we've talked about Wave 4. We know the Z95s are hitting, so the Rebel Swarm is a reality. So that's all well and grand. The Z95 is a little tougher than your Academy ties are, I think, just because of shielding alone.
I think that they're less. I think they're
now-
less tough, to be honest with you. I don't know the math on it, and we can check. We now have a certified math guy, Major Juggler, on the FFG forums. And Major Juggler, if you're listening, we need to know what is tougher on average. Is it a Z95 or is it a TIE Interceptor?
I think you're correct that it's the 3 agility at 3 hit points is a higher value.
My guess it's gonna come
regardless.
down.
Now
Go ahead.
Now they have blockers
Yeah.
in the prototype A-Wing for close to the same cost. So the Rebel Swarm is where we thought, no big deal. Rebel Swarm, okay, they're going to get a lot of ships. That's cool. They've got shields and other things that they can equip, and that's fine. But at least they're still not getting a blocker out of the deal. Now you get Chardin refit, which means that the prototype becomes a 15-point blocker with a badass dial.
Yeah.
And with a
that's-
superior
ugh.
set of actions too, and very difficult to
Yeah,
kill.
being able to boost is so good for blocking.
It's so weird. To me, I think of it this way. I fly academies a lot, and if you were to tell me for 3 points I could have a better dial, a better action economy, or better action economy, yeah, sure, and I could trade in I could get 2 shields for the cost of one whole point. Don't you take that every single time?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, at that point cost for 15 points, like, I'll compare it to, my favorite 15-point TIE fighter is
Night Beast.
Night Beast.
Night Beast. Yeah, sorry, I had a blank out moment with him and Dark Curse for a second. I was like, no, not Dark Curse. It's Night Beast. 15 points. Do I take a prototype or do I take Night Beast? I'll probably take the prototype every time. And that's just it's more things that are gonna lean me away from, unfortunately, flying Imperials right now. Not that I'm not happy about that.
So first of all, my thoughts on this, because that I fly a lot of A-Wings nowadays. I don't know when that happened and when I decided to shut off my brain and decide that A-Wings are the best thing in the universe, but I fly a lot. Yeah, exactly. I fly slap fight. I fly 4 of them in a list regularly. I don't know if I needed 8 free points.
No.
I don't think it needs 8 free points for slap fight.
I get to fly engine upgrade Millennium Falcon and C-3PO now for free. It's like FFG just came down and gave me a birthday present. I'm not sure what I did for them, but I'm not sure it was fair either. Is Shardan Refit an auto-include on every A-Wing?
I don't think that the A-Wing is the best ordnance carrier on the
that's the Z95
Rebel side of things, so I think it is an absolute auto-include.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, I don't... Yeah.
If you're going to fly A-Wings, you have to have that card.
You're not flying A-Wings to carry missiles now. Once the Z95 hits, that's not why you're flying.
It's the second auto-include in the game. You have to fly Push the Limit with interceptors. And for all of you people that are screaming, Veteran Instincts on Tur, you're wrong. I'm sorry.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, because you say you have to fly PTL on interceptors, but there's a fact to that you neglect in the sense that there are alphas out there. And alphas have been being used as splashes in swarms.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
PTL
Swarm
isn't
ships.
even an auto-include. Yeah, PTL isn't even an auto-include to the extent
It's worse.
that Shardan
It's absolutely
Refit is.
worse.
It's
Yeah.
worse. It's way
Shardan
worse.
Refit is the without a doubt the most point-for-point effective card in the game. It's better than the Millennium Falcon title.
It's free points.
Yeah. It's free points.
Free points.
It's
free points to give up a slot you don't care about anymore.
Yes, you're getting free points for a ship that you were already going to buy. So now the other ships in your squad are getting that a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're not spending, it's like free
fire control system.
Saying,
yeah.
For slap fight, you were just gonna pimp out the Outer Rim Smuggler. Now he's got Boost and C-3PO and the Falcon title.
Or you can get a free B-Wing in there.
Yeah, it's like, it's kind of crazy what you can do. So, yeah, it's...
And it also allows people to do this terrible thing now where we can have 5 A-Wings and 2 Z95s.
Yeah.
Scary 7-ship Rebel pain in the arse.
I wanna. Should we do the 7-ship Imperial versus 7-ship Rebel, Greg? I feel like that's something that we need to happen. Or 8 TIE fighters versus 7 Rebel ships.
If you want to make that comparison, I think the Rebel ships win out. But the include of Howl Runner is, you cannot discount the re-rolls on offensive production for that many TIE fighters.
If Howl Runner's in there, I don't know that
my favorite's still Backstabber.
Well, but you can have Backstabber in that 7-ship list as well, and you still have room for Push the Limit on Howl Runner.
Beast if you want to.
Yeah.
Well, can you do that?
There's plenty of options in there.
Yes.
So I think that the 7-ship, including Howl Runner on the Imperial side, still may be stronger than...
So
I definitely think
I don't know. Those A-Wings have a better dial than the TIE fighters do.
So here's the thing, right? I've been hearing this from Gregory in the internet and anyone on the planet who decided that they wanted to get upset about X-Wing and balance, talking about how the end is near, the rebels are unstoppable. Oh, Lord God, what are we going to do about this rebel problem? And we'll get to why the rebel problem never even was real in the first place. But then the Imperials decide that they're going to come out with an answer. A ghost from the past, a phantom, you might say, in the TIE Phantom in its incredible cloak action that just got spoiled a few days ago. What was this? Was 2 days ago was spoiled. According to the time of this recording, the TIE Phantom is not where you think it is. It's everywhere and nowhere, and it has 4 attack dice to shoot you with.
Yeah, the TIE Phantom. When we talked about it in Wave 4, I don't think we even realized the potential that existed there because we didn't know what Cloak did. To clarify for everybody out there listening right now, getting into what cloaking and decloaking does. Okay, so cloaking is an action that the TIE Phantom can take at any point during its action phase or anytime it gets a free action. And what it does is it puts a cloak token on the ship. it can't perform that action while it already has a cloak token, so you only get one cloak token at a time. And what this does is it increases the agility value of a ship by 2.
Which is ridiculous.
Which is potent. That knocks that agility on the Phantom up to a 4 agility, which is strong. What it also does is prevents that ship from attacking. So, a la almost Star Trek style here, you can't fire while cloaked.
Which this may or may not have been stolen from the Star Trek game. Not saying yes or no, but maybe.
But it may have been. So then, at any point in time, you can spend your cloak token before revealing your maneuver dial. And when a ship decloaks, it can do one of the following things. It can either perform a barrel roll using the 2 straight maneuver template, or it can execute a normal 2 straight maneuver. Decloaking's not an action, it's not a maneuver, it just happens before you reveal a dial. You can simply spend the token and go to town with it. You can't have your maneuver token overlap an obstacle. You can't land on an obstacle. So it works like barrel roll and boost does in that sense that
we're not
if
sure about that yet. That's not officially.
It is actually official. It's on the card.
Yeah.
I'm reading it from the card right now.
Yeah, it says a barrel roll.
Yeah. It says a ship cannot decloak if it would overlap another ship or obstacle token.
I'm sorry.
Or if the
I
maneuver
misunderstood
template
you
would
for
overlap.
saying that it can't go through a ship or through an obstacle. We're not actually clear on that yet.
It says it cannot go through an obstacle. It says a ship cannot decloak if it would overlap another ship or
that's
obstacle.
That's not the maneuver template.
Or, will you let me finish? Or if the maneuver template would overlap an obstacle.
That's what. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. After decloaking, the ship continues its action phase or its activation phase as normal. So, yeah, scary stuff from there as far as maneuverability options. The article we're taking from is actually up on Fantasy Flight, and there is a really interesting breakdown of available positions that a TIE Phantom can take, and the options are what feel like essentially limitless at this point.
You can be anywhere.
It's insane. It's insane. The where you could be. There's so many possibilities. Trying to pin these guys down is going to be crazy.
And they can take advanced sensors.
Yeah, I'm wondering if the Phantom is really anti-formation flying.
It's kind of in the same way that the TIE Interceptor is very bad for formation flyers. This thing is a TIE Interceptor on PCP.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
It's souped up beyond all beliefs. It's a Derek Jeter version of the TIE Interceptor.
That's if you don't follow advanced metrics. Advanced metrics people know that Derek Jeter is not as good as he says he is.
Fair enough. But, yeah, Ricky, you kind of touched on a bit of what I consider to be Phantom gold here when you mentioned advanced sensors. Yes, the ship does have a sensor upgrade on it, so it's capable of taking advanced sensors, and before a maneuver dial is even revealed, the ship can perform essentially a 3 sideways barrel roll if it wants to.
Actually, it's 4 distance because you got to count the width
of the ship itself. So yes, it's covering 4 small bases at that point in time. That's an incredible amount of movement.
They can boost forward and then K-turn 4, so they can essentially K-turn 7.
Yeah, you would have to put an engine upgrade on it to give it the boost.
No, cloak. You decloak forward.
Just move forward.
You decloak forward and then K-turn. Then you K-turn forward. Because who cares where you think I am? I'm over here. I'm on a horse.
Yeah, it is crazy what these guys can do. So, although the Rebels are getting a lot of good stuff, I don't know. It's going to be so hard for them to pin the Phantom down and ever concentrate fire on it. I don't know how they're going to do it.
It's the YT. There's your answer. Is you have to fly YT hundreds, which I don't necessarily like that they're making us fly more YT 1300s. We already fly so many.
Well, especially here in our play area, Richard, because we're near Omaha, the land of the convoy.
The land of... Wait, I can fire from what direction? Oh, that's a good idea.
Yep.
Pretty much. 360 arcs are going to be a huge pain for these guys unless you start... I mean, your only counters for that in the fandom are going to be taking things like advanced cloaking
I was about
device
to
and one of
mention
the higher
that.
pilot skills.
What does advanced cloaking device do, Gregory?
Advanced cloaking device allows you to gain a cloak token after you attack.
So you decloak, fire, and then cloak.
Precisely. So there's the dilemma of, okay, if I take this cloak action during my turn, then my ship just sits here and doesn't do any fighting, but I have this high AGI. It's a nice defensive turtle, but I'm SOL if I wanted to use these lasers on this 25-plus point ship that I just put in my squad. With the advanced cloaking device, and especially when you have a higher pilot skill phantom like Whisper or Echo, you're dealing with... Yeah, Echo is a lot of... Oh, man. A lot of fun. We'll get to that, though. Advanced cloaking device works well on those higher pilot skill guys because you can fire early, be in somebody's arc, and then turn around and turtle up with those extra agility dice and sit there and defend yourself for days.
It's kind of almost made for Whisper. You know, his ability getting an extra focus after you attack.
You have to attack that hits. You have to hit.
Yeah. But with 4...
It's still, good chance.
You're rolling 4 attack dice. Because it has 4 attack dice. Holy...
Yeah, your chances of hitting are pretty high, I think.
Yeah.
4. That's a real number on a ship right now.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep. Yeah, they upped the ante with that one in the same way. I think they've upped the ante on both sides of the Galactic Civil War here, because here you've got these rebels with all sorts of new, just crazy combo options as far as what their individual ships are now going to be capable of. But on the Imperial side of life, you've just gone ahead and given us a 4 attack dice ship that's going to be nigh impossible to lock down.
Oh, without a 360-degree arc.
Exactly. With any kind of front-forward arc ship, it's going to be very difficult. I mean, even with a fire spray, it's going to be hard to get a beat on these guys because they'll be able to get into the side of
at least
a
the
fire spray pretty
standard
effectively.
Phantom will only be able to boost forward, right, and left. Let's talk about Echo.
Yeah, okay, so Echo is a pilot skill 6 TIE Phantom pilot that comes in at 30 points. His pilot ability is a little like, who's the interceptor
Lareer,
pilot that can use the
Lieutenant
bank?
Lareer.
Lareer. So he's similar to him in the sense that when he decloaks, instead of using the 2 straight template to barrel roll or move forward, this guy can use either direction of a 2 bank.
It's anywhere. He can go anywhere. Instead of 3, it's 6 different locations.
To a curve backwards, to a curve forwards. It's a multitude of options as far as that's concerned. And at pilot skill 6, it's moving after a lot of stuff. So your options as far as being wherever the heck you want to be whenever you want to get there are pretty large.
The K-turns after these things just seem crazy to me. Like, you do a 2 bank and then K-turn and you're like...
None of this is causing stress, too.
Their rear flank at this point. Yeah, it's just like...
When you say... What do you mean none of this is causing stress? It's the defender that has the light K-turn on it. So they'll still get stress out of their K-turns.
None of the cloaking abilities are causing stress. It's just you can just do it.
Oh, yeah, no, they don't even cost your actions at this point. If you have an advanced cloaking device on your ship, you don't even have to worry about taking actions to get this mechanic rolling. You just have to shoot at something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I attacked. Okay, now I've got my cloak combo going. Good luck ever hitting me again. If you shot at me this turn, it'll be the last time.
Looking at the charts they put up on the website and showing just the amount of crazy locations that they can move for that ship absolutely just boggles my mind.
Yeah, and the charts really only show you the small distances that ship can move. It really only shows you the tight, close quarters dogfighting combat maneuvers it can take. It doesn't even get into like what Scott was saying with the K-turns. I think we all know and are familiar with Theorist. I think he's going to have an absolute heyday with a ship with this kind of arc avoidance options. I think it's going to play right into his style of play.
Yep. So, just so you guys know, I don't. Wave 4 is on the boat, It's
I saw that online
What?
earlier today, actually. Yeah.
It's gonna.
It's coming, man. It's happening.
Yep. So it's they're gonna be here soon.
But not here fast enough.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't have Wave 4 fully spoiled, but we wanted to talk about sort of news that's happening competitively in X-Wing. And Scott, you may be, I don't know, uniquely qualified to speak on this one. We have going on throughout the internet, the Galactic Holonet, we should say, the galaxy-wide Galactic Cup that you formed. Why don't you go ahead and tell us some information on that?
Yeah, so I've been running a tournament on Vassal called the Galactic Cup, and I'm kind of in shock about how many people signed up. There's 144 players are signed up for this. And
Wow.
Worlds was 109. So
Wow.
I think this is the largest X-Wing event to this date. And my guess it's probably the largest event done over Vassal in almost any game. I can't think of any.
I don't know about. Yeah, I'd probably say that's a safe assumption for
144
a large event.
players. It's and 20 different countries are represented.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm super happy with how everything has gone so far.
The word is Galactic Cup, which sounds similar to World Cup. Do they share any sort of similarities?
Yes. How I'm doing this is there's the 144 players are divided into 24 divisions, and with 6 players in each division. And the players will do a round robin. You play everyone in your division, and the top 2 players from each division will move on to the elimination rounds. And so this gives us, you're really getting like the best players from each division moving on. And there isn't an easy division. Like, I look at every single one, I'm like, oh, that player's good. Oh, that guy's really good. Oh, wow. There's that division's like bone crushing. I don't want to be there. It's kind of scary.
What are you? But this is a little bit differently due to the length of time that it will take to complete this whole undertaking, because it is an undertaking. You have a setup that's slightly different than your standard FFG tournament in that you can have 2 squads. What kind of made you think that was going to be a good idea, and what was sort of the idea behind that?
So, Vassal tournaments I run different than I would run like a regular in-store tournament, because you have this longer time frame to schedule and play your games. It's a different, you can do different things. And one of the things that for me, I like to play everything. It's hard for me to play one list, more than 5 or 6 times, and then I get bored generally, and I have to do something else. So I wanted to give players an option to have a couple different lists to try out, and I thought that would be interesting, sort of pre-game, like, little bit of strategy there, where you're like trying to figure out which squad's going to do better against their 2 squads. Well, if they pick 1, I should pick 2, but so there's this little bit of like, game before the game. There's a little, just planning and trying to figure out what you're going to do before the game even starts, and I think that's adds an interesting depth to the game.
I like it because, in my opinion, X-Wing is a game about choices and just decision making in general. I guess any strategic tabletop game would be included in that. They're typically games of choices beyond rolling the dice and that. I like that it adds an extra layer of strategic decision.
Yeah, and so that was one of the things I thought would be really fun. It also adds like a different, another layer to your squad building. You know, if you know that you have 2 squads, you can kind of like, well, what do I want to do? You know, do I want to build, you know, one list that, you know, is really solid, and then the list that I think would counter what would counter my other list. You know, there's all these sort of like, you know, there's all these different things that you can think about, and then, or you could just go, you know what, I'm going to pick 2 totally different lists from each other, and I'll see which one works for me against different opponents.
I'm certainly excited that all 3 of us are participating in this event, because I feel like, you know, we would be remiss if we weren't able to smack talk on who makes it the farthest. Just want to go ahead and say that I think we all know that that's going to be Scott.
I don't know about that.
No, I'm just messing with you. I think that's going to be me. I just totally think that's going to be. Although I have to go through Dom and Evan Clausen, and I'm not excited about that.
Yeah, that's a tough division.
Yeah, it's exactly what you deserve.
So here's the thing. I know that I have 2, at least 2 that I know of, and then I'm not aware of the other 2 people that I'm playing with, but they could be anybody. They could be incredibly good. I have no idea. Is there any division that you think are particularly scary? Like, there's always, okay, in the World Cup, we'll use that as an example, there's always a pot of death. Who's the pot of death?
Oh God, I'm not sure. There's a bunch of European players that are really, really good that that are in this, that I haven't played, but I know, like, they've won national champions, and they've won it, and they've won consistently. So it's like, I haven't seen them on Vassal, but these are top players in their area, and so we're getting this really nice mix of metas from all over the world.
That's the best part of Vassal. It really is.
It's fantastic. Yeah. So there's some surprises. I think there's going to be some really good players that we're going to find out about that aren't known. But the homeworld of the Sith. What division is that?
Yes, the Korriban division. I was about to chip in. It is. Yeah. I'm really happy I'm not in that division.
4 people from the top 16 in Hilo, in the last Hilo tournament? 4 of them.
Sozin, Kinetic Operator, Artificially Flavored. I do not want to be playing consistently against
and Sean Esser.
Sean Esser's good. I don't know who Mavericks is, but if he is even average, that's the hardest division ever. If he's super good, then it's crazy sauce. Whoever makes it out of that they will have earned it, and that's awesome.
Yeah, it's that's a tough division.
Yeah, I think as I was going through the list, that was definitely the one I looked at. And I was like, man,
I breathed this.
Thank God I'm not in that one.
Because it's central. It's central, and Greg and I are at Central Time Zone. So when I saw that and I saw that I wasn't on it, I'm definitely going to admit to the internet that I was absolutely happy that I was not a part of that. I was stoked.
I don't think I know anybody in my division. The only person who I've even seen play in my division is the Anti-Grapist. I'm in the Uba 4 division.
I love that you had Star Wars planets for every single division.
Yeah, me too.
There's some good people in that. The Anti-Grapist was a top in high-low.
Yeah, he's the one I'm familiar with.
Corin Horn is a friend of Lyle's. He plays with him and Pixit and Dom and he's
the
very
Chicago
good.
Players that you don't want to mess with.
Yeah, he's also really, really good.
That I have to mess with. That's great. Shout out to Dom.
Yep.
I'm in Dagobah, and it's got I don't know PJO or S1N, but I know Evan Clausen Legion 3 is good, and and then
Legion 3.
Dom is obviously good. He won high-low, right?
He won high-low, and
Yeah.
he's always been really solid.
Yeah. Anyways, so it's going to be pretty exciting. I wanted to talk about just briefly because I think we should try and highlight games that we saw that were awesome.
Oh
and
my God.
I feel like we do need to bring up the opening round of the Galactic Cup, which I think is you could not have asked for a better opening round for it. If we could have televised this for everyone who watches X-Wing and likes X-Wing, we should have, based upon how good a game it was. It was Theorist versus Atomic Boxer. That was a heck of a game, right?
Yeah, Atomic Boxer is Jake Pischelmeyer. He's the Gen Con national champion, and
Okay.
He's really good.
That game was a game of like opposites. Jake was running Imperial Methadone.
No, he ran. Ran Jim Blakely's 5-ship
right.
Rebel. Yeah, the 2 Ys, 2 X's, and a B.
That's right. Yeah. So, ton of hit points. Really, really solid. A lot of damage output.
And Theorist ran loaded Ibtisam, loaded Chewbacca. Super mobile versions of both. And he ended up winning. Which is the crazy part is, I feel like Jake did exactly what he needed to do to win.
Yeah,
he tackled Chewbacca. He got him down. I mean, on averages, I feel like he's going to get the kill most of the time, but he didn't get the kill on Chewbacca. He lost a ship, and then Ibtisam just managed to squirrel out of enough damage and do just enough damage for the win. But still, 2 ships versus 5. It was really awesome to watch.
Yeah, it was a clinic in maneuvering from Theorist for dodging arcs, and just, Jake did a great job of like forcing him into the asteroids to limit his maneuverability. I mean, the game ended on with Ibtisam.
It was on 1 hit point.
So
left. It could have gone either way. It could have gone either way, which is the great part about it, is both players played very well.
Yes.
And it still could have gone either way.
Yeah, there were multiple turning points in that game where there was one point where Jake had 3 ships to Theorist just 1, and then Theorist closed out one of them, and it was just a lot of dodging. And there was a point where he clipped off the last couple hull, and just couldn't quite get him. Just couldn't quite get him. It was.
Yeah, he had a crit. He had a crit, but it wasn't direct hit. He could have drew a direct hit and won, right?
Yeah.
No, Jake could have. Yeah. The one thing to point out that I think is the coolest part of the Vassal tournaments is you can download the games and watch them. And you can actually download this game from your Team Covenant page and watch whatever Vassal log you want. And I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, it's good. That's another interesting thing about a Vassal tournament is you can look at how your opponents are playing round for round and see what they do and get a sense of their play style.
You can actually scout someone, and I think that is important.
Yeah.
I think if you're going to take a step competitively, which I think that X-Wing has the potential to do based upon its tactical nature. I think the ability to scout someone is something that you should be able to do, and I think it'll make the game better.
I think it's a very interesting part of this particular tournament. This being able to see what other people are doing and watch their log files and get a sense of these things. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's been some talk. If I don't know how likely it is that this is going to happen, but the Team Covenant community in general, the people that are involved in the Galactic Cup, have been discussing casting and posting some of the games. Yeah. So I think that's going to be a reality before too long, is that we'll at least see some of these games maybe up on Twitch. I don't know where they'll end up posting, if it's YouTube or if it's going to be Twitch
Still
or what the deal is, but I'm sure that something's going to happen.
Well, speaking of tournaments, we have several tournaments that we've done, and it's regional season, and it's also IMDAR Alpha season, and we recently went to a regional. Scott, you had a tournament that you flew on, what was it, May the 3rd, or was it May the 4th? May the 3rd. Ours was on May the 3rd as well. Not nearly as cool as May the 4th, but still, we all went to tournaments recently. We went to a regional in Omaha. We had, how many players, Greg? Was it 48?
48 players, and also I believe it was the first regional game to be played.
We had the first regional. We had 5 rounds. It was absolutely grueling, and it was a lot of fun. It was man, we live in if you want to be really good at X-Wing, we live in a great area. If you want to win a tournament in X-Wing, we live in an awful area. It is like pulling teeth because everybody's good.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a really, to quote a football movie title, it's got an Any Given Sunday sort of feel to it, where any day of the week, any of the multitude of really good players we have here could end up on top or just completely tanking out. It happens all the time.
Scott, tell us about the tournament you went to.
So the tournament that I went to was a theme one. You had to run a squad, or where they actually had flown together in either like movies or in part of the extended universe. And one of the caveats was if you played Luke, you had to run R2-D2 with him. It's like, so it was just a fun day where you played stuff that went together. There was a lot of variety to the lists. There was people who were running the trench run. Luke, Biggs, and Wedge, and I ran Gray Squadron with Horton. I figured, I don't play Horton enough. This is a silly...
And Horton's wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah, this is a silly, fun tournament. I'm going to run Horton, and that was awesome. So
what was the list that you actually ran?
So I ran Horton with an engine upgrade, and he had an ion turret, and he had a proton torpedo and a flechette torpedo.
You had the full upgrade bar.
Yep, everything.
Just fill it up on Horton, please.
Yeah, and he had a basic R2, so all his 1 through 2s are green. And then the another Gray Squadron pilot with the A2R3, I think, the stress droid, and he had an ion cannon turret and a flechette torpedo, and then another Gray Squadron with R4P9, who regenerates shields if you don't spend your focus.
That's nice.
And he had flechette torpedo and the ion cannon turret. And that was just... I was 3-1. I lost in the final at the final table.
Do you feel like it was actually kind of a legitimate list?
Yes, the control aspect of that game was solid. But if I ran up against big ships, I would have been hurting, and against high PS squads, it was also problematic. I had a hard time against ships who were moving after me, getting all that I wanted. But once I was able to start locking things down, it was really good. I lost to Richard in the final round.
Richard Sue.
Yeah, he finally beat me. It was good. Good for him. He played well. Biggs really messed me up because I couldn't control all of his ships. I had to focus
He had
on
to attack
Biggs.
Biggs. How did
And
you like
so-
Fletcher torpedoes?
Oh my god, they were so good. It was so good
Yep.
with the because even when they failed, they did something.
Yeah, they always pop
Yeah.
that.
How do you
really
like
helpful.
R3A2, the stress droid?
That was really good. I didn't like him on my gray as much though, because the gray only has the 2 green maneuvers, so it's
Where would you
really
move
hard
him
to
to?
get rid of. I'd move him to a different, like to an X-wing or to an E-wing coming up.
Something that can clear its own stress a little bit more easily.
Yeah, but it was really fun. It let me, I locked ships down, and it was really fun.
So far, you're the first person I know who's ran R5P9. What'd you feel about that droid?
I didn't really get as much use out of him. I mean, he helped, but most of the time, in this tournament, that particular ship was ignored. Everyone went after Horton or the stress droid. So
Yeah.
I didn't need that. But I was going with the theme, and that droid is actually one of the Gray Squadron pilots' droids. So it was fun. I had a lot of fun just because it was all theme day, and it was cool.
Awesome.
So that R5P9 droid I'm curious about in tandem with people like Kyle Katarn and Garvin Drace, because you got some fun options
The
in
answer
there.
is yeah.
Yeah,
That's
throw
the
a
answer.
little Biggs in there and give him that focus for some defense, and let him keep one and regen a shield that he just lost. Yeah, why not? Why not?
There are times where you have a couple focus tokens on Biggs at the end just because he rolled well, and
Exactly.
Yeah.
You
Why
can
not take an extra shield on those
theoretically
turns?
shield upgrade Garvin and Kyle and get 3 focus tokens on Biggs and have a shield upgrade and be able to recharge 3 hit points.
yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's a thing. That's a real thing.
So does that? I mean, can you still do that with the only activating once per round?
Up to your shield value. Holy cow! No, you can do it up to your shield value.
Oh, gee.
Yeah.
Well, you can still only trigger the droid once per round, though. So, like, does he? What's the wording on him? Hang
You
on.
need to
Yeah, I'd have
spend
to
one of
find
your
it.
focus tokens. You need.
To recover up to to recover one shield up to your value. So you're only allowed to do that once per round. You can only ever use each card once per round. So you're not going to be able to recover 3 shields.
Yeah,
at
well,
a time,
unlike
4 shields
R2
at a
though, you
time.
can do that whenever you want.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's the nice thing with that is that you're not limiting your dial movement. You can be a little more unpredictable. But
Sure, you could K-turn and then get a token from somebody else and still recover a shield.
yeah, and it's a point cheaper.
Yeah. It's a pretty sexy upgrade in the right hands.
Yeah. But
What did you fly at regionals here this last week, Richard?
Well, I kind of had a last minute change of heart. I was going to fly Slap Fight, and I decided that I wanted to do something with the shuttle. I love the shuttle, and I haven't flown Academy Ties in a while, and I thought that I was going to do a list that basically could block and hit hard, and dogfight, which was kind of like a jack of all trades. I can generally play whatever game I got to play. I flew 3 Academy pilots, a Omicron group with with advanced sensors, heavy laser cannon, and engine upgrade. I like to call that a dogfighter shuttle, and a Royal Guard pilot with shield upgrade and push the limit, so it's a little bit tougher. I really liked that list. I felt like I flew well and could handle just about every fight. I wasn't at any point flying a counter list, but I was flying a list that could at least fight every fight, if that makes any sense.
yeah, that totally makes sense.
I could see the versatility of that. You do have a lot of options, but it's a lot centered around, like, your jousting option is basically you have your blockers for setup, You've got flanking options, you got dogfighting options. It's a good setup.
Yeah, you screen. You can flank with either the interceptor or the shuttle. Something I've got a question though. I've been going back and forth on this. I've thought about dropping that heavy laser cannon to gunner, and then having 2 points, say, for Royal Guard pilot, or I could figure out a way to go from advanced sensors to fire control system and get, rebel captive, or I could even manage to go fire control system gunner and turn the Omicron into a buzzsaw shuttle, and I could get hull and shield on
your Royal Guard.
The Royal Guard. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
There's a lot of options. Personally, and we talked about this day of tournament too, I like what you set up with HLC because of the fact that anytime I put a single flanker in, like a Royal Guard or like Carner Jacks or like a Soontir Fel, I like there to be this situation where if my opponent decides to attempt to lock down my flanker, I want them to suffer for making that decision. And heavy laser cannon is such a great weapon to make an opponent suffer for ignoring it.
And the shuttle is so good at just holding back and getting those long-range shots.
HLC on the shuttle is so annoying.
Funniest thing that I've noticed about this shuttle, the sensor engine shuttle, that shuttle, if it decides it wants to be a blocker versus pilot skill 3 and above, it suddenly is a really effective blocker because of sensors and engine upgrade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I managed to block a TIE Swarm's K-turn with it in the regionals, and it was basically
very
awesome.
Satisfying.
It was incredibly satisfying because I blocked a bunch of them flying into the shuttle, and then the second row that was ahead of them was blocked by my other Academy pilot, and I just laid horrible waste to that TIE Swarm. It was awesome. It felt really good.
And they're totally screwed for even the ones you don't kill are just totally screwed for a few turns while their formation's wrecked and they have all this stress, and it's just yeah. Well, Greg, what did you fly?
Yeah, Greg, you've got a good one.
I flew, and I think I've talked about this list on here before. I'm basically in love with it at the moment. I'm going nowhere. I flew an Outer Rim Smuggler with the Millennium Falcon title and gunner, and 3 Blue Squadron B-Wings. It racks in at 99 points. What I like about this list, honestly, is it's a versatility thing again. I like it for the same reasons, Richard, that you like your list. It just sort of accomplishes them in a different way. It's in an obvious way an excellent jouster.
Yeah, it's a jousting
list. Fantastic jouster. Beyond that, though, you do have some serious options as a dogfighter. No one expects that ORS to be as good at fighting and killing things as it is.
But it is.
But if you use it outside of blocking and you keep it alive for a long time and let people eat up and battle with your B-Wings, that ship can become a real thorn in your side and in-game. Gunner on it means it's doing damage every turn.
Yeah, exactly. That Outer Rim Smuggler is going to damage something in a turn. You're going to hurt it 1 hit point somewhere.
And what I like about it as an addition is that it sort of defends the jousting squad against what we talked about earlier. It's a big counter to the jousting squad are those flanking ships, the interceptors, and what will soon become the TIE Phantoms. That Outer Rim Smuggler with gunner on there basically just dares your green dice to be good all day, which, as we all well know, is not going to happen with any kind of consistency.
Red dice are better than green.
You can have those nice flanking ships, but I'm going to use that ORS to just continually harass them. Eventually, one of them's going to go down.
Yeah, I love this list. I haven't played it yet, but I've only done it out of respect to you. This list looks awesome. I love B-Wings, and I love Outer Rim Smugglers. I think it's interesting that you dare someone to try and kill an Outer Rim Smuggler in a round, and oftentimes, and most of the time, they can't do it.
They fail.
Yeah. And so basically, it's like they did no damage because your Outer Rim Smuggler is going to be behind them the next turn.
That's typically how this squad works out. That's my sort of ideal situation is, ram the heck out of them with the Outer Rim Smuggler, offer it up as sort of a sacrificial lamb at first, and then just park it where all their ships are touching it and they can't shoot it anymore, and then fly behind them.
10 whole, you get the whole 10 points of
11 if you Falcon.
Yeah.
Plus, it's got the Falcon title, which is usually what keeps it lasting for that. The amount of times I've had that thing live with 1 or 2 hit points on it is more often than not, in all honesty.
Yeah,
and B-Wings are tough by themselves, too. They're really tough.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, and if you spend your opening round, which is typically the round where you have the best shot set up and the best action set up, if you spend your opening round wasting all of that on the ORS and not taking down B-Wings, and those B-Wings are just going to cause you a world of pain from there on out.
Mm-hmm.
So I enjoyed the list. What I like about it is that it's very consistent. It rarely just completely tanks out. I did actually, I accomplished a draw with it at Regionals, which was a ton of fun. A guy named Dustin Poskachil played against me with a modified Imperial Swarm. It was, 5 Scimitars and Howl Runner.
Mm.
That was Dom's, that's
Howl
Dom's
Runner.
high-low winning list.
Yeah, that list was strong, and it drew out. We simulfire killed each other at the end, very last turn of the round. It was he shot. We had been duking it out with this one remaining B-Wing and this one remaining Scimitar, and we got it down to I had 1 hit point on the B-Wing, which he took care of, and he had 2 hit points left on the Scimitar, which I took care of, and it was just okay. Well, I guess we both basically kept each other from getting into finals. Sorry, but that was still an awesome game. So
yeah.
The nice thing I liked about his list was what does he call it? The fat bottom girls of tie swarms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. Well, that's what we've been flying at regionals. Boy, we've got a bunch coming up. We got the Imdar Alpha coming up, as well as regional season. I can't wait to play more regionals. I had a lot of fun on the last one. I'm going to go to a few more, and I hope that everyone listening does well. Do you gentlemen have anything else that you'd like to add before we go? Any sort of announcements or anything that you'd like to shout out to in the X-Wing world right now?
Yeah, real quick, Kansas City is going to be doing a Extra Life charity event. It's going to be a LAN party and tabletop and all sorts of stuff. It's late in October, and I'm sure I'll get more opportunities to discuss it in detail. October 25th is the date right now. More details to come. If you guys check out the Extra Life 24-hour charity page on Facebook, or I'm sure you can just Google it and get information about it there as well. I'm going to be organizing a tournament to go together for that, so should be a lot of fun.
Scott, anything you want to plug before you go? Are you ready?
No, it's all Galactic Cup for me right now. That's all I'm working on.
Man, I'm crossing my fingers that we make it deep into this tournament, but I'm scared of 141 other players deciding that that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I just want to announce the current Kansas City League standings. Well, I don't necessarily want to announce all of them. Jonathan Reinig is in first place, and he's doing all right. And Gavin Norman, who actually won the previous regionals in, I think, 7th or 8th place. Greg, where are you at? You said you were going to get the 2nd seed. Where are you at right now?
I could be higher than I am. That's for sure. I'm not sure what my exact standing. Am I in like 10th or something right now?
I think you're higher than that. I think you're 8th at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not doing incredible, but I am sticking to my different list every single week guns, and I've had a lot of fun doing
I
it.
had to fill in, so I'm currently undefeated. I just want to point that out.
I think I've taken down the only other. I think I've caused Matt Baugh his only loss in the league, so I'm pleased with that.
And he's in the group of death too.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
All right. Well, for Greg, Joy, and Vengeance Duncan, and the one and only Scott Williams, Mr. Froggies, my name is Richard White. Thank you for listening to the Scum and Villainy Podcast. Good hunting out there. Get down!